It's August already. Can you believe that preseason is officially behind us and we're just a heartbeat away from competitive football being back? The squad's starting to filter in and there's a sense of anticipation in the air. Celtic are back. After a summer that seemed eternal, we're finally gearing up for the return of proper football. And while Stevie makes his long-awaited return to post-match duties on Sunday today, it's up to Paul and Asim to set the tone. And let's be honest, there's plenty to talk about. For Asim, the summer wasn't just about football. He's been off the radar, away from the mic, tying the knot and living life. But even that didn't keep him from feeling the itch that pulled towards Celtic Park as the season draws near. And like he said himself, maybe he's coming in a little rustier. Bit like Lee Griffiths on the back of preseason, but ready to go again. Paul, on the other hand, might not have had the same sunshine and romance. He's been braving the cold, stuck in a wet, windy Scottish winter, just counting down the days until the hoops returned. And now, here we are, right on the brink of it. And there's a lot of questions hanging in the air. Celtic's preparation, the squad depth, the late arrivals, it's all part of the same conversation we seem to have every year. Paul was honest about where we stand. Not bad, but clearly not as strong as we were when last season wrapped up. There's a sense that we're still missing pieces, especially in the attacking third, and while preseason gave us some decent performances. Like the matches against Newcastle and Sporting, there were others that raised eyebrows, particularly that Ajax defeat. Still, as we always say, preseason isn't about the results. It's about the shape of the team, the sharpness, the understanding. But the real issue that keeps coming back is recruitment. Not just who we bring in, but when we bring them. And that's where frustration boils over. This isn't new. Celtic have had direct Champions League access for 3 years running. That should mean we're ahead of the curve. But here we are days before a competitive kickoff and the attacking options are looking slim. The fear isn't about losing to a stronger opponent. It's about falling to a team we should beat simply because we weren't ready. And this matters more than ever now. These early games, the Kivili or the qualifiers, can shape an entire season. The margins are brutal. One bad night and you're out of Europe, confidence takes a knock and you're playing catch-up domestically. Asim put it well. These games have bitten us before and they can bite again. So when fans look at the squad and see James Forrest being the senior man on the wing yang still looking raw and a reliance on Daisen Maeda's fitness, it's not panic, it's realism. We're not at full strength and we're walking into important fixtures. The transfers we've made haven't been all bad. Take Benji Negron, for example. That's a signing done early, he's had time to settle, and now he's looking like a player who could start the season strong. That's the kind of preparation we should be seeing across the board. So when we do things right like with Benji, it makes the late arrivals, or the lack of them, even more frustrating. And yeah, we get it. Transfers aren't easy. Brendan Rodgers has said it himself. It's not like playing Football Manager. You don't just click and sign. There are agents, clubs, clauses, replacements, negotiations. But still, we're Celtic. We should be moving faster, smarter, more decisively. Especially when we're not talking about needing 10 players. We're talking about 3 or 4 key pieces, a couple of wingers, a real striker, maybe a center back if someone's heading out. And speaking of defenders, there's some buzz around Simpson Pusey, a season-long loan from Man City, no option to buy, which is never ideal, but if he hits the ground running, it could work out. He was given games during a tough stretch as City held his own and won some praise. So maybe, just maybe, he steps up. Add in Victor Eriksson from Sweden, another potential addition. And you start to wonder, are we building a defense for depth? Or does this mean someone like Carter Vickers might be on the way out? That's the worry. Because while we're loaded, at center back, Carter, Vickers, Simpson, Pusey, Trusty, Scales, Murray, that usually only happens when departures are brewing. But make no mistake, if CV goes, we're in trouble. He's the anchor. The defense looks completely different without him. He brings calm control, a presence that's been the backbone of this side. So if he's sold, whether now or in January, that's a big hole to fill. You can't replace that kind of leadership overnight. There are bright spots, of course. Alistair Johnston is back, slowly ramping up his fitness. Kieran Tierney is back and should slot in at left back. The midfield trio of McGregor, Hatate, and Negron is a juicy prospect, finally giving us that creative spark we've been missing. And you know what? The vibes around Negron are good. Smooth on the ball vision and eye for a pass. He looks like he belongs already, which makes you wonder why can't we just sign more like him, Brendan Rodgers, for his part, has been calm, measured, not shouting from the rooftops, but clearly wanting more from the board. He spoke in January about needing a replacement for Kyogo. The signs are there. You can tell when a manager isn't convinced by the players brought in. It's in the language, in the tone. Yamada and Inamura might turn out all right, but they don't feel like Brendan's guys. They feel like boardroom projects. And that disconnect, especially when you're going into a European qualifier, is dangerous. So yeah, frustration is in the air. Not rage, not chaos, but a lingering sense that we could be doing this better. That we should be further along. And look, fans aren't asking for the world. They're asking for the squad to be ready when the season starts, not scrambling in late August, hoping a last-minute signing settles in time. Now, if the rumor mill is right, maybe we're close to a few more. Maybe the board is just waiting for green lights. Maybe the right players are lined up and we're just waiting on their clubs to replace them. If that's the case, fine. But if not, then we're playing with fire. And in Europe, that burns fast. Flag Day is around the corner. And this year, Paul McStay will have the honor of unfurling it. For younger fans, McStay might just be a name. But for those who saw him play or heard the stories, he was Celtic through and through. A one-club man. A midfielder with elegance, composure, and ridiculous technique. He could have left. Could have tested himself abroad. But he stayed. And he's still a legend. So having him there on Sunday will mean something. And as for the atmosphere, expect a proper show. The Green Brigade have 2 massive tifos planned honoring the Lisbon Lions we lost this summer. That Lisbon stand display as the players walk out will be special. Just remember, if you're in the North Curve, hang onto your material. There's a second tifo coming after the break. It's gonna be a proper day, but once that whistle blows, it's game on. And the opposition St. Mirren, not an easy one. They've been a tough nut to crack in recent seasons. It's not a glamour fixture, but it's a real test, especially with the squad in flux, and Johnston and Carter Vickers might not be ready to start. That opens the door for Ralston Trusty, maybe Scales. It's a chance for those guys to stake a claim early, and up front it's probably going to be Ida leading the line, not because he's untouchable, but because the alternatives are thin. Yamada looked lively in preseason, but it's early days. Forrest and Maida might take the wings. If they stay fit, fine. If not, that's where the squad feels threadbare. Midfield's where it gets exciting. Seeing Hatate and Negron together. Could be the creative spark we've needed. McGregor sitting deep, those two in front. It's got balance, bite, and a bit of flair. For the first time in a while, it feels like we might finally get 2 real playmakers on the pitch together. Not just 1.5. And that's the thing. There's quality here. No one's writing Celtic off. But the margins are smaller than ever. Rangers have strengthened. Hearts and Hibs look better. Aberdeen might surprise. This league race isn't going to be a walk. And maybe that's a good thing. The best title runs are the ones you have to fight for. The ones where you come out the other side with battle scars. Ange's first title, pure theater. The kind of ride you remember forever. But if we want that again, the drama, the triumph, we need to be ready. Not in September, not in the winter window. Now. Because Celtic don't get to wait. Not with the Champions League on the line. Not with the pressure rising. The pieces are there. But the clock is ticking. Sunday is more than just a curtain raiser. It's a test of where we stand right now. Not where we might be in a few weeks, if a couple more signings arrive, but where we are boots on the grass, ready or not. And that's what makes this game against St. Mirren so telling. It's not just about 3 points. It's about sending a message to the fans, to the dressing room, maybe even to the board. We are Celtic, and we expect to start strong. You can almost hear the buzz outside the ground already. McStay raising the flag fans back in their seats, scarves in the air. That first whistle cuts through everything. The tension, the expectation, the worry, and for 90 minutes it's all about the football. Brendan Rodgers knows it. He's been through this before. The job might feel different now. Second time around, different squad, different mood. But he'll know exactly how important this opener is. As for the lineup, there's still uncertainty. Johnston might miss out Carter Vickers too. That could mean Ralston starting at right back, possibly a pairing of Trusty and Scales in the heart of defense. Not the most settled backline, but good enough to get through a match like this. If they're focused, Kieran Tierney if fully fit will be a huge boost. He's a player who doesn't need a run of games to get going. He just steps in and leads. Midfield's probably the most exciting part of the pitch right now. The trio of McGregor, Hatate, and Negron, it feels fresh. It feels right. McGregor holding, dictating the tempo, Negron gliding between the lines. Hatate doing Hatate things, the switches, the through balls, the bursts into the box. If they click, they'll run games. And that's what we've missed. Not just keeping the ball, hurting teams with it, moving them around, picking them apart. That's what this midfield promises. Up front is a bit more of a guessing game. Ida will likely start through the middle, but the wings are where it gets tricky. James Forrest is always dependable, but he's not 22 anymore. If he's starting fine, but who's pushing him? Yang looks promising, but raw. Tilio still isn't fully ready. Maida will cover the left, and that's always a safe bet. His work rate alone guarantees you something. But if any one of those front three goes down, we're suddenly scrambling. And that's the deeper issue. Injuries will come. They always do. The question is whether the squad has the depth to absorb them. Right now, it feels like we're walking a tightrope. You lose Maida for a month and suddenly you're playing players out of position or relying on youngsters who maybe aren't quite ready. That's not a recipe for consistency. You look at last season, we had luxury. 2 players for almost every position. This year it's not there yet. The back line has numbers, but midfield and attack light. If we get through the window without adding a striker and at least one winger, that's a gamble, a big one. Because this season isn't just about retaining the league. It's about making a statement in Europe. It's about showing progress, and we can't afford to start slow. But let's not get stuck in the negatives. There's a lot to like too. Benji Negron might be the real deal. Everything we've seen so far points to a player with real intelligence, vision, and technical quality. He's calm on the ball he picks. The right passes, and he looks like he's been playing in this team for years. That's what you want from a new signing. Not just talent, but readiness. He's one of the few summer additions who actually looks like he'll start the season in the first 11 and make a difference. If the rest of the window follows that blueprint, we'll be flying. It's not about signing big names. It's about signing right. Players who fit the system, who can hit the ground running, who make the squad stronger from day one. That's what Brendan needs. That's what the fans want. And the clock's ticking. The Champions League playoff is looming. It's a huge fixture. It's not one you ease into. It's one you hit with full force. That's why preparation matters. That's why vetting players in early matters. Bringing someone in on August 28th is no good if they're not ready until October. And by then it could be too late. Brendan Rodgers has stayed calm publicly. But you get the feeling he's feeling the pressure too. This isn't a rebuild from scratch. It's a tune-up. A few right pieces. That's what makes it even more frustrating. We're not far away. We're close, just not quite there. And it matters because this season will be tougher. Rangers are stronger. They've spent money. They've addressed gaps. That doesn't guarantee them success, but it raises the bar. They'll push us. And when you factor in a more competitive league with Hibs showing real signs of life, Aberdeen, adding depth hearts, continuing to build, suddenly you're looking at a campaign where drop points won't be so easy to recover from. But let's get real. Celtic are still the team to beat, even with gaps. Even with all the grumbling, this squad knows how to win. They've done it. They've lifted trophies. They've battled through tough spells. What they need now is focus, a clean start, and a win on Sunday. Predictions are always a laugh this time of year, and most of the Celtic AM crew are backing the boys to win the league again, but with a smaller margin. And that feels right. Not doom and gloom, not blind optimism, just realism. We're still the strongest squad in the league. We've got Brendan Rodgers in charge, but it's going to be tight. We're not going to run away with it. As for Europe, that's where the big question mark sits. Most expect Celtic to make it to the Champions League group stage. But once we're there, it gets tricky. The format's changed. The fixtures will be tougher. And the room for error is even smaller. There's optimism, sure, but most of the lads are saying we might fall just short of the last 24. That the group stage might be as far as we go. And that's fair, but there's a chance, a real chance, that this team could click. That someone unexpected steps up, that we get a decent draw, that Negron or Ida or someone not even here yet lights it up. Football's like that. It only takes a moment, a spark. The top scorer race will be interesting. Most are split between Ida and Maeda, which makes sense. Maeda brings the consistency, the energy, the engine. Ida has the striker's instinct. If he gets regular starts, he'll score goals. But there's always the unknown. What if the top scorer hasn't arrived yet? That's the wild card no one wants to talk about. But it's real. One big signing changes the outlook entirely. Player of the season, that's wide open. Negron's getting a lot of love. Hadate too. And then there's Maeda, steady, explosive, and always involved. But if Negron settles in like he has so far, it's hard to bet against him. He's got the tools, the attitude, and the platform. Most improved. A lot of shouts for Austin Trusty. And that's fair. He's had his moments last season, but if he tightens up, gets a run in the side, he could be a rock. Same with Ida. 20. Goals last year felt quiet, but he was effective. Give him a run and a manager who backs him, and you might see a different level. And then there's the rogue predictions. Always a bit of fun. One said Celtic would hit double figures in a game. Another tipped Ben Doak to come in on loan and tear up the league. There's talk of Angles becoming a breakout star. The usual mix of realism and wild optimism. But it's all part of the fun. One prediction everyone seems to agree on though. This might be Brendan Rodgers' last season, whether it's because he's aiming for a perfect ending or because there's interest from elsewhere. The feeling is that he might bow out next summer. And if that's the case, you can be sure he'll want to go out on a high. And if he does, what better way to do it than with another title, another run in Europe, and maybe even a treble. The foundation is there. The players are close. The fans hungry. Celtic Park will be bouncing on Sunday Flag in their air anthem echoing, and for a little while, all the worries will fade. It's football. It's back. And no matter what comes next, we ride together from the first whistle of flag. Day to the last roar of the season. Let's go. Before we proceed, subscribe to our channel and enable notifications to receive all exclusive news about Celtic FC. Don't miss any details about your favorite team. It's extremely important for Celtic FC fans. The rumour mill in Scottish football has ignited with a tantalising whisper, making its rounds across the terraces and digital forums. Luka Modric, the iconic Croatian midfielder and Ballon d'Or winner, is said to have penned a sensational deal with Celtic Football Club. While no official confirmation has been issued by either party, murmurs from within Parkhead and Spanish media outlets suggest that an agreement may already be in place, sending shockwaves through the Scottish Premiership and beyond. The 39-year-old maestro, whose illustrious career at Real Madrid is nothing short of legendary, was rumored to be seeking one final challenge before hanging up his boots. Whispers claim that Modric has been intrigued by Celtic's European ambitions and the passion of the Glaswegian fanbase, making the green and white hoops a poetic swan song to his glittering journey in football. Sources close to the club hint that negotiations have been underway since the close of last season, with manager Brendan Rodgers personally invested in bringing the veteran playmaker to paradise. This potential coup could mark one of the most remarkable transfers in Scottish football history, rivaling the likes of Paul Gascoigne's arrival at Rangers or Henrik Larsson's impact during his Celtic tenure. Speculation began to mount after Modric was noticeably absent from Real Madrid's pre-season promotional materials and squad announcements, fueling theories that a move was imminent. Although some insiders maintain that he had been granted extended leave following international duty, others insist that the delay masks a significant transition behind the scenes. Rumors point to a clandestine visit by Modric's representatives to Glasgow 2 weeks ago, where they were reportedly spotted near Lennoxtown Celtic's training base. Add to this a cryptic social media post from the player's wife, featuring Celtic Park lit up under a twilight sky, and the rumor gains further weight. Fans have taken to social media en masse, dissecting every potential clue and poring over Modric's recent likes and follows on Instagram and Twitter. Some believe this could be a calculated effort by Celtic to shake up domestic dominance and make a mark in the Champions League, an area where Modric's experience is unparalleled. The Croatians' leadership and tactical acumen could provide the perfect blend of experience to an already youthful squad, potentially turning Celtic into a European dark horse. As the green half of Glasgow holds its collective breath, the rest of Europe watches on in disbelief. Supporters across Scotland and even England are grappling with the implications of such a seismic shift in player movement. Never before has a player of Modric's pedigree even been close to a move north of the border at such a pivotal moment in their career. This isn't a retired star seeking a last payday in obscurity, but rather a still competitive midfield general eager to write a final glorious chapter. The potential signing aligns with Celtic's recent shift towards attracting marquee talent with strong leadership credentials, as seen in their acquisition of Joe Hart and the short-lived pursuit of James McCarthy. Critics argue that Modric's age may hinder his ability to adapt to the physicality of Scottish football, but many forget that his performances in La Liga and for Croatia have defied such assumptions time and again. Some pundits whisper that this move is about more than football, that Modric is intrigued by the romance of Celtic's history, their fans, and their deeply embedded cultural identity. A move to Celtic might allow him to play without the relentless pressure of Madrid's spotlight, while still commanding the respect he deserves. If the whispers hold any truth, the SPFL is in for its most exciting season in decades. Insiders close to Celtic Park suggest the deal might include a unique ambassadorial clause, allowing Modric to take on a dual role as a mentor to younger players while still playing competitively. It is believed that Celtic are willing to offer a flexible contract, possibly structured around a one-year playing deal with an option to extend based on appearances or mutual agreement. Such a clause could appeal to Modric, who is said to be eyeing coaching badges and potentially a future role in football management. There's talk of private meetings between Modric and Brendan Rodgers held in secrecy during the Croatians' brief family holiday in Scotland earlier this summer. Supporters who spotted the playmaker at Edinburgh Airport sparked the first wave of speculation, which has since snowballed into a full-blown transfer rumor saga. The financial aspect remains a subject of intrigue, with questions arising about how Celtic could accommodate his wages. Some sources believe sponsorship deals and commercial incentives are being prepared in the background to cushion the cost. In typical Glasgow fashion, rival fans scoff at the idea, while Celtic supporters dare to dream. Whether a stroke of marketing, genius, or a genuine masterstroke, the noise refuses to die down. As pre-season intensifies and the transfer window inches towards its dramatic close, all eyes remain glued to Parkhead. The thought of Modric pulling strings in midfield, feeding passes to Kyogo, or orchestrating the tempo against Rangers at Ibrox is enough to make any neutral salivate. Even without confirmation, season ticket sales have reportedly surged, and merchandise shops have seen an uptick in demand for number 10 shirts, despite no new player officially receiving the iconic squad number. Bookmakers have slashed odds on Celtic winning the treble this season, and international media outlets are now stationed in Glasgow, desperate for any sign of the Croatian star. Should the signing materialize, it would elevate the SPFL's global profile and draw in legions of neutral fans enchanted by the fairy tale. In a footballing world increasingly dictated by oil money and mega brands, a move like this would be a throwback to romance, loyalty, and the enduring magic of the game. Until the ink is dry and Modric downs the hoops under the Celtic Park floodlights, the rumor remains just that, a tantalizing whisper in the wind. But sometimes, in football, whispers become legend. Hello, fan! Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, as it means a lot to Celtic FC. Also, share your opinion about the news in the comments below. See you in the next video.